As Duncan Vizla approaches his 50th birthday, he heads in for a routine checkup with his doctor. While he's in great shape, the scars and metal fragments from years of dangerous work tell their own story. The doctor gives him the all clear other than a comment on his smoking habit.
What about cigarettes?
I quit.
Known as the man of his word, he's a top-tier assassin, feared across the globe as the Black Kaiser. He works for a company called Damocles, known for its strict retirement policy at 50. Every assassin gets a $200,000 donation made in their name, along with a one-way ticket out of the game. Duncan's accountant gives him the news he's been waiting for in just 14 days. On his 50th birthday, he'll receive his well-earned $8 million pension from Damocles. Meanwhile, down in Chile, another assassin, Michael Green,
Retirement, here I come.
is kicking off his retirement with a wild party. He's got a gorgeous woman, Cindy, by his side, and he's diving into enough substances to make a pharmacist blush. Just as things are heating up, though, a sniper's bullet cuts the party short. A hit squad, made up of assassins Fundo, Hilda, Carl, Alex, and even Cindy, has been dispatched to take Michael out.
You got old, Michael.
Cindy,
His life slips away in the same wild manner it was lived. The assassins team finishes the task and leaves in a chopper. After Michael's funeral, Duncan meets up with Vivian, a fellow assassin who's traded the field for a desk, now managing Damocles' killer's assignments. Vivian has news for Duncan before he rides off into retirement. The bosses want him to handle one last assignment. His mission is to avenge Michael's death. However, Vivian mentions a Mexican assassin hiding out in Belarus as the killer and not the assassin team, but Duncan's not fully convinced. To sweeten the deal, Vivian dangles a $1 million payout if he accepts this final job. But Duncan, as stoic as ever, just takes the documents and leaves the restaurant, keeping his thoughts to himself. Duncan is back in his quiet Montana home in Triple Oak, trying to unwind when he's hit with a barrage of urgent messages on the Damocles private network. He gets in touch with Vivian, the company's go-to manager, but makes sure to destroy each SIM card after he uses it to make sure no one's tracking him. Vivian ups the ante with a tempting offer $2 million, half up front and the rest once the job is done. Although still uncertain about the whole thing, Duncan tells Vivian to upload the mission details onto the Damocles server. Meanwhile, Vivian heads to her boss, Mr. Blood, to get the necessary permissions to transfer the funds. But there's a dark twist. Blood has been secretly scheming to boost Damocles' value by eliminating assassins as they retire, seizing their pension funds through a hidden contract clause in their contracts. He has no intention of paying out Duncan's pension and instead wants to get rid of him just like the others. With Duncan's payout set to be the largest of all, Blood gave him one last mission, hoping it would be his last breath. Vivian tries to warn Blutt to leave Duncan alone and honor the payout after all. The Black Kaiser is notorious for being lethal and unforgiving, but Blutt, too wrapped up in his plan, brushes off her concern. Unaware of the betrayal unfolding behind his back, Duncan dives into his mission prep, gathering every scrap of information he can on his target. Soon enough, after gathering all the important information, he's on his way to Belarus, going in without a word to Vivian. Once there, Duncan takes on the role of a maintenance worker and shows up at his target's hotel pretending to fix the door. He on purpose make a lot of noise to annoy the leg-obsessed Mexican man he's after. His trick works, and Duncan corners the target, nails him, securing him against the wall with precision. After dealing with a few Mexican henchmen, he uncovers a file with his own details. The harsh reality hitting him this mission was a setup. He picks up an electric drill, ready to pry out the truth, but his target knows nothing about who ordered the hit. Once Duncan assassinates his target, then he snaps a photo of the body as proof. Calling Vivian, he tells her he's in after he receives his $1 million down payment. Duncan sends her the photo, demanding the rest within 24 hours.
Somebody set me up over here. You better pray you have nothing to do with it.
Filled with fear and anxiety, Vivian hurries to meet Mr. Blood. She informs him that Duncan completed the mission without any issues and is now requesting the final $1 million payment. Furious, Vivian urges her boss to settle Duncan's full payment, including his pension, warning that the Black Kaiser won't simply back off and might come after them. Concerned that Duncan could turn on them, the boss agrees to release the remaining $1 million but refuses to include the pension. Instead, he orders the specialist assassins to eliminate the Black Kaiser. After finishing his mission, Duncan returns home, where he's plagued by memories of a violent past operation. As he goes about his daily routine, he notices a new neighbor, Camille, who has recently moved into the house next door. Duncan often encounters Camille at the convenience store and nearby restaurants. He observes that she frequently appears sad and startles at the slightest sounds. It's evident she's going through a rough time. Over time, Duncan and Camille grow closer, sharing more conversations and bonding over simple moments.
What was your job?
I was in the funeral business.
Duncan is willing to support her in his own way he can. Duncan buys her a gun and attempts to teach her how to shoot, but she freezes up, clearly troubled by the sight of the weapon, likely haunted by a traumatic past.
It's okay. I'll get you something else.
Meanwhile, the specialist assassins are on a relentless hunt for Duncan. Their first lead? His personal accountant. They pressure him to reveal Duncan's location, but he only knows of 4 properties Duncan owns across different states. Since genuinely does not have an idea, the assassins take him out anyway and proceed to visit each address. Their first stop lands them in Florida, where Cindy, ever the show-off, arrives in a flashy outfit, only to have her plan backfire. The apartment is rented out, and the new tenant mistakes her for some kind of service he ordered.
What are you into? Being hit?
After they fail to trace Duncan at any of the 4 properties, the assassins leave a bloody trail, eliminating every tenant they encounter. Digging even deeper, they uncover that Duncan has been wiring occasional $200,000 transfers to an unidentified recipient via a bank in Triple Oak, Montana.
Imagine how much dope you can get for 200,000.
Soon after, Hilda calls her boyfriend, Mr. Blut, confidently assuring him she is definitely going to kill Duncan. The assassins finally track Duncan down in Montana. They manage to locate him as he's picking up another gift for Camille. On his way home, Duncan encounters Cindy, the ultimate femme fatale, faking a car breakdown. She plays her part flawlessly, claiming her phone's dead and she's stranded. Duncan takes the bait,
Do you live far from here?
and before long, Cindy's heading back to his place with him. She has a plan of her own, slyly mentioning that her help won't arrive until 10 a.m. The next day, giving her a convenient excuse to stay the night. Throughout the night, she turns up the charm, teasing Duncan.
You're cute for an older guy.
As things heat up between them and explore each other's depth, Cindy's allies, led by Fundo, stealthily close in on Duncan's house, ready to strike. Cindy positions herself perfectly to give Fundo a clear shot, but just before he pulls the trigger, Duncan's instincts kick. He dodges, causing Cindy to take the bullet meant for him. She's hit hard, right in the shoulder, as Duncan dives for cover while Fundo rains bullets through the house. Duncan manages to grab an axe and takes out Cindy in one swift throw. Moments later, assassins Hilda and Carl storm into his home, but Duncan has already slipped away.
He's not here.
He swiftly tracks down Fundo. Duncan eliminates the sniper and takes his rifle. Using the thermal scope, he detects Hilda's by the heat of her breath and takes her down with a single shot. Then, in a heartbeat, Carl springs an ambush from behind, but Duncan handles him in an instant. After the dust settles, Duncan starts piecing together clues, desperate to find out who's pulling the strings. He finds a room key for an inn not far from him. Duncan heads to the inn where he stumbles upon Junkie Jane, who's barely coherent in her drugged-up state. But during her high, she reveals a shocking twist: Camille has been kidnapped by Alexei. Through their investigations, the team had uncovered Camille's special connection with Duncan. Duncan rushes to Camille's house, but she's gone. Meanwhile, in Mr. Blute's lavish mansion, news of Duncan's survival reaches the boss. Furious, Blute rages over the loss of his team and his girlfriend. But Vivian, ever the cool strategist, simply chuckles, reminding him she had warned him about the Balk Kaiser. She advises him again to cut his losses and just pay Duncan his pension. But for Blute, this is no longer about money, it's personal.
This is personal.
Realizing he's facing a formidable foe, Duncan seeks out his old friend Porter, a retired assassin who knows Blute better than anyone. After filling Porter in on the situation, Duncan learns Blute's real plan to eliminate him before he retires. Porter suspects that Camille is likely being held in Blute's sprawling mansion. Now, Duncan's on a mission with his instincts sharp and his resolve even sharper. As Duncan is just about to leave, his old friend Porter stabs him in the back, literally, by drooging him into unconsciousness, revealing his betrayal. Turns out, Porter has secretly joined forces with Mr. Blut, hoping to score a big payday by handing Duncan over. Not long after, Duncan wakes up, chained in Mr. Blute's grim underground dungeon. With 4 days left until Duncan's birthday, Blute has a twisted plan he'll torture him daily and finish him off on the big day. Trying to break him mentally, Blute taunts Duncan with pictures of Camille, who's being kept in a constant drugged haze by none other than Junkie Jane. On the 3rd day, while Blute is stabbing Duncan with his thin-bladed knife, it snaps mid-stab, hitting a metal implant in Duncan. Enraged, Blute slashes Duncan's face and drives the broken blade straight into his left eye.
The fun continues tomorrow.
Left bleeding and bruised, Duncan waits for nightfall and uses the knife's broken piece to unshackle himself. When the guards show up in the morning, Duncan catches them completely off guard, taking them down one by one. Then, as Blute himself arrives, Duncan plunges the room into darkness. Using it to his advantage, he eliminates many Blute's guards as he can. Blute tries to escape, but Duncan fights his way through every guard in his path. Injured and barely standing, Duncan finally makes it to his trusted friend Jasmine, a gun dealer who patches him up and loads him with advanced weaponry for what's coming next. Once he's back to full strength,
I always knew you'd come back.
Duncan calls Vivian and offers himself in exchange for Camille. She accepts the deal, but little does Duncan know that she and Blute are already plotting a double cross. Duncan, though, has his own plan. He sets up a heavy machine gun HMJ at an abandoned warehouse and calls Vivian, arranging a meeting at a train station for the next morning. Unlike before, he doesn't hang up or destroy his SIM card, letting Vivian trace his location. As planned, Vivian arrives with Alexei and a small army. When they face off, Duncan gives her a chance to walk away.
I'm still gonna give you a chance to walk out of here alive.
But Vivian, sure she's got him trapped, refuses. Signals her men to prepare to shoot, but Duncan raises his hands and activates his laser-guided HMG. In a split second, all of Blute's men are murdered. Surprisingly, he spares the injured Vivian, leaving her behind as he heads toward his true target, Mr. Blute. Blute, watching through security cameras, panics. He orders his guards to tighten security, but when Duncan storms into the mansion, Blute's men decide it's safer to flee than to face him. In desperation, Blute tries to bring Camille to him as a last line of defense, but it's too late. The Black Kaiser himself has reached Blute's room. With a single swing of his axe, Duncan takes Blute's head, ending his reign of greed and violence once and for all. With the job done, Duncan rescues Camille, bringing her safely back to Montana and helping her recover from the ordeal. While searching around her room, Duncan stumbles across a stack of old newspaper clippings about a family murder from years ago. As he reads, it hits him this was a hit he carried out himself, only it was based on false information. The guilt of that tragic mistake has haunted him ever since. The sole survivor of that massacre was a young girl, who he now realizes is Camille. Although he's tried to make amends from afar, donating to help her over the years, he never expected to cross paths with her again. Then, suddenly, Camille appears behind him, holding a gun pointed directly at him. With a cold, determined voice, she tells him that all she sees is his face, the face of the man who took her family, destroyed her life. Duncan, visibly shaken, apologizes with tears in his eyes, explaining how the hit went wrong. He knows she has every reason to despise him, and he's ready to face whatever she decides. If ending his life will free her from her pain, he's ready to accept it. Camille trembles, her emotions raging, but ultimately she pulls the trigger. The shot misses, leaving Duncan alive. In the final moment, Camille turns to him, her anger softened by resolve, and asks for his help in finding the person who ordered her family's murder. Duncan agrees, ready to help her uncover the truth and find justice. All right, that's a wrap for today's recap. Hope you enjoyed the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.